Sarah. It's Sunday, so it's time for my weekly update. Let's see. Last week I left off with I was about to start editing Hell's Bend. I have gotten some of that done, not a whole lot. I'm on page 9. That does need to move along a little faster. Usually Sundays are my heaviest work days just because it's the only day I have like nothing planned. I didn't get as many days writing in as I had hoped for. Thursday I had my D&D game, which I forgot all about it. And I also played on Saturday with my other group. So this week was a little harder to get all the writing in. So, but I started writing on it last night and I've made, 7 pages of progress. So I'm not too unhappy with that. So yeah, I haven't run a spelling and grammar check on boys yet. That's mostly just I haven't sat down and done it. It takes a little more focus than just putting the edits in, so I don't do it right after usually. But I'm hoping to do it probably in the next week or two. I'd like to do it this week. If I find time, I can. And it takes less focus than actually editing, but more focus than putting edits in. So, that's the thing. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about some problems I'm having with my writing. Number one is titles. One of the really big things that you want to do, if possible, with your titles is make it so that when someone types your title into Google, it's not going to pull up 500,000 other things first. And that's a problem with boys. Hell's Bend is not exactly the most popular name for a book. There is what appears to possibly be like a Christian fiction novel called Hell's Bend, but there's no apostrophe and mine does have one. And also, it's a completely different genre. Nothing about my writing is religious in any fashion. So I feel like that would help keep me apart from that. It didn't look like that was going to be a difficult hurdle to get over. And it's not the most popular book in the world. I think the book's Facebook page had less than 1,000 likes on it. So, it's not an insurmountable size. This isn't, I'm not naming a book It, and then I have to contend with Stephen King's It, which has probably got, 100,000 likes on the page or whatever. I have to come up with a different title for it. As much as I like the title Boys, I feel like it fits the story and I feel like it's appropriate. I just don't want to try to compete with 10 million other things called Boys. There's several films, there's books, there's articles, anything you can think of. They're just titled Boys. That's just too general. So I've been working on coming up with some new titles, and there's a couple different places I've been looking. I've been trying to write down, during this last edit actually, I sat down and tried to write down themes as I saw them arise in the story so that I have those themes on hand to kind of use as a title. Phrases that are used repeatedly, items or things that are really important to the story, so those kinds of things are what come to mind. So I have a list of those things and I'm going to consider them. I need to consider them when I'm not actively editing the story though, so I haven't, sat down and done it because I did just finish. So that is something that I'm going to do in the near future. Another thing that I need to focus on is book covers. I'm getting to the point with both of these books where I'm going to need to start planning a cover. And since my husband does graphic design and publishing and all that jazz, he makes my book covers, so I do have a really good person to kind of bounce ideas off of. So the cat's behind me now. So I will come up with some images, some ideas, some things like that, and then I'll kind of bounce them off of them. Some of the things that I like to have kind of on hand when I'm coming up with these ideas, I like to have basic themes of the story, fonts, styles of fonts I'd like. You don't want to have, a romance novel with a font that looks like the Metallica font. So an idea of what kind of fonts you're looking at. Colors, a general color scheme. Most book covers are, you know, fairly small number of colors. So if you can come up with, you know, 3 or 4 colors tops that that you want to represent your story, that can be helpful as well. And then symbolism, especially if you're doing something that involves a lot of symbolism, using that symbolism in your book cover can really draw people to the book cover. So that's another thing that you really should try to have, and I try to keep those on hand. I apologize that it's so dark in here. It's evening and we don't have a whole lot of lighting. There's actually not an overhead light in our living room where I film. So I have like the overhead light in the next room on, and then my desk lamp, and then a light across the room. But that's all the light we have in here. So this is really just about as bright as I can get at this time of day. Luckily it's starting to get brighter later. So last week when I filmed at roughly the same time of day, it was actually quite a bit darker. So that's a nice trend. So yeah. So the overall scheme at which I like to make my book covers, the way I like to come up with the ideas, I start with an overall image. An image that makes me think of my story. I'll use Safe Places as an example because Safe Places is a short story, and it was really easy for me to come up with. You know, Safe Places is about a kid who wakes up in the middle of the night and thinks there's some sort of monster, and he doesn't know what it is, but, you know, he thinks it's absurd at the same time. So the idea of a dark hallway was the number one thing I could come up with. And how do you show darkness in a picture? Well, by having something light to contrast against it. So we went with the door cracked in the hallway, which is actually a picture in my hallway at my parents' house. Of a door cracked with the light on inside. So we started with that, and then we got the picture, and once we had an image that we could work with, then we kind of talked about what colors we wanted to do and fonts and things like that. I don't know that I have a whole lot else to talk about this week. Working on this book. I'm going to try to get more work done on it while this uploads so that I can edit it. Yeah, I think that's it. So if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more, please subscribe below. If you liked it, please hit the like button. If you would like to see a topic covered in one of my videos, go ahead and leave that down in the comments below. Share it with everybody. You know, that's really helpful. And I'll see you next week on Sunday. Bye!